Story number 33. My mom wants constant access to my location, and it's tearing me up inside. I'm 22 and still living at home because of strict family values. In my household, moving out before marriage, especially as a daughter, is seen as completely unacceptable. That said, I've made up my mind I am going to move out once I'm financially stable, whether they approve or not. A few days ago, my mom confronted me and demanded I share my location with her full time. I calmly said no. That set off a firestorm. She started yelling, accusing me of being secretive, claiming I had something to hide. Then came the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, the guilt trips, the threats to take away things she helps provide. I ended up crying. She ended up furious, and still I didn't give in. Yes, I admit I've lied about where I am at times, but it's because I need breathing room. She already feels entitled to monitor my spending, demand explanations for every step I take, and treat me like I'm incapable of making decisions. Giving her real-time access to my location would be just another tool for her to control me, and I'm exhausted. I don't think she's a bad parent. She's always been there for me when I needed help. She's loyal, generous, and protective in her own way. But she also has these incredibly toxic traits: emotional volatility, a deep need for control, and an inability to respect personal boundaries. It's a confusing and painful mix. I love her, but she makes me feel trapped. Recently, things got worse after that fight. She didn't drop it. She threatened to take my car keys. And technically she can, because the car is still under her name. I panicked and half apologized just to calm things down. But then my brother, trying to be helpful, casually mentioned that I've been thinking about moving out after graduation. That lit another fire. She lost it, started banging on things, yelling about how no daughter leaves the house before marriage, how it would shame the family, how I'm turning my back on everything she raised me to believe. I'm sitting there thinking, what about everything I need to feel safe and sane? I don't even want to argue anymore. Right now, I'm considering quietly packing a small bag and staying at a friend's place for a while, just to clear my head. I don't want to blow up my whole life overnight. But I do want a life, one that's mine. Story number 34. Why do I still let him get to me? I'm almost 45 now. I've lived a full life, married, raising a child, rebuilding my health. But somehow a single comment from my father can unravel me in seconds. I've struggled with my weight since I was a kid. I can still remember the sting of stepping on the scale in middle school, already heavier than most of my classmates. Since then, it's been a roller coaster. At my heaviest, I was over 320 pounds. These days, I'm down to 260 and continuing to work hard toward better health. I've changed how I eat, how I move, how I see myself, and I'm proud, so proud of how far I've come. But my father, he's never changed. When I was a kid, he had this habit, this relentless belittling commentary about my eating. He'd smirk or sneer and say things like, "Is that your second plate?" Or, "You think that's healthy?" Or just a sarcastic "really" when I reached for something. It didn't matter if I was eating a salad or a sandwich. His tone was always sharp, always disapproving, like my body, my choices, my hunger were all moral failings. Today, I stopped by his place with my 5-year-old after running some errands. On the way back, I grabbed food from a local cafe. I had called ahead to ask if he wanted anything, knowing how much I liked their grilled chicken club sandwich. Lean meat, no mayo, no tomato, just the stuff I like. It comes with a side of couscous, and I usually stretch it into 2, sometimes 3 meals. He said, no thanks, but I picked up an extra piece anyway. I thought maybe he'd want a taste. When I offered it to him, he curled his lip. "I don't eat that kind of sandwich, you know that." His tone made it sound like I was offering him garbage. I didn't know. He eats deli meat all the time. But fine. I let it go. I sat down across from him and began to open the container when he hit me with it. "You call that diet food?" Just like that, the years collapsed. I was 12 again, sitting at the kitchen table, shrinking under his gaze. My appetite disappeared. I couldn't even look at the sandwich without hearing his voice repeat the phrase in my head. I closed the container and pushed it aside. "You're not going to eat?" he asked, like he hadn't just stabbed me with shame. "I was just going to let you try it." I lied. "I'll eat later." But I knew I wouldn't. Not in front of him. Because every bite would feel like a test I was failing. How does he still have that power? Why does one sentence from him still have the ability to undo my confidence, my logic, my self-respect? I've lost over 60 pounds. I've raised a kind, joyful kid. I'm trying. I'm doing better. But with just one sneer, he sends me spiraling, questioning everything. Is this too many calories? Is this even healthy? Should I just throw it out? I called my best friend, someone who's seen me through every version of myself for over 2 decades. I sobbed to her, feeling like a failure, and she told me what I needed to hear. He doesn't get to define you anymore. He never did. You're doing amazing. Ignore him. I'm a grown woman, a wife, a mother, and still I feel like a scolded child in his presence. I hate that he can still make me feel that way, and maybe what I hate most is that part of me still listens. Story number 35. Is it me, or is this just insane? For over half a year now, I've been stuck in a really tough situation. I'm 19, living in a small isolated community with my mom, 54, and her longtime partner, also 54. We've been dealing with a bedbug infestation for months, and by we, I mean mostly me. My mom struggles with depression. I have both depression and anxiety tied to autism, and her partner has chronic pain, although somehow he's still up and working construction jobs when he feels like it. Our finances are a mess, not helped by his drinking habits. I've been pleading with them to do something about the bugs, but they brushed it off for ages. Despite the fact that I was covered in itchy bites, they even denied there was a problem. My mom insisted the bugs were in my room because I wasn't keeping it clean enough. She claimed that once I got it spotless, the housing team would come and treat it. We live in subsidized housing on a reserve. So I deep cleaned everything. Nothing happened. Instead of helping, I got blamed again, accused of bringing the infestation on myself. I cleaned again. We even washed the mattress and left it outside in the snow for weeks, even though I warned them the cold wouldn't solve anything. I was right. The bugs came back for some background. My family has been dismissing my input and disregarding my feelings for years. I'm starting to believe they genuinely don't see me as someone worth listening to. During winter, their room was fine, bug-free, but a few weeks ago I went to my grandmother's for her birthday, and when I came back, the bugs had spread to their room. Now they've abandoned their bedroom altogether, thinking that's going to somehow solve the issue. I'm pretty sure the bugs are just going to migrate back to mine. Right now, I feel invisible. I've read everything there is to know about how to deal with bed bugs, but none of it matters if the people around me refuse to take action. I can't move out, I don't have a job, and my mental health makes independence hard right now. Living remote with no real transport options just makes it worse. Honestly, I'm not looking for pest control tips. I could probably handle this if I wasn't constantly undermined and dismissed. What I need is support. This is draining me emotionally and mentally. I don't know how to cope with this level of neglect and disconnection from the people I'm forced to rely on. How do I deal with being treated like I don't matter in my own home? Story number 36. They want to reconnect. Oh, yeah. After everything? Nearly 2 years ago, I walked away from a life that was slowly suffocating me. It wasn't easy, far from it, but ever since I left, things have been better. Not perfect, but better in the ways that matter. Back when I made the decision to leave, my family didn't exactly take it well. The guilt tripping started almost immediately. Accusations, emotional manipulation, even borderline stalking behavior. Eventually, I had no choice but to cut off contact entirely. For months, there was complete silence. Then, out of the blue, they reached out, claiming they wanted to reconnect and that they'd honor my boundaries if I had just come around once in a while. I was skeptical but agreed to occasional visits. Those visits were awkward. I stopped trying to engage because every time I did, I was met with coldness or just emptiness. It became clear that whatever change they were promising was surface level, and the deeper realization that my own family made my escape so hard it still leaves me speechless sometimes. Like, how is wanting independence seen as betrayal? If you've ever had to untangle yourself from a toxic environment, you know it doesn't just end when you leave. Now, a sibling is saying I'm not making enough of an effort and that it breaks our mom's heart to not know anything about my life. But that's not how this works, is it? I'm not a kid giving out status updates because someone else needs closure. What's worse? My parents are still pointing fingers. Apparently this is all on me. And now, out of nowhere, they want to go on a bonding trip. A part of me is tempted, thinking maybe it's a chance to rewrite the narrative. But another part of me is on full alert, especially since I've already been guilted into attending a family gathering I never wanted to go to in the first place. So much for respecting my autonomy. I told a friend about all this, and she said I was making it more complicated than it needs to be. That hit hard. I don't know anymore. Is it just me? Am I being unreasonable, or am I just protecting myself the only way I know how? If anyone has experience with cutting ties and trying to find a way back, if there's even a way back, I'd really appreciate hearing how you handled it. Because right now, I'm torn between giving them one more chance and walking away for good. Story number 37, 1 year of silence, and I still don't know if I'll ever go back. It's been exactly 1 year since I stopped talking to my family. A whole year of silence, distance, and wondering if I'll ever find my way back to them. The break wasn't over some massive betrayal. It was over money and social media. And still, here I am, torn between love and self-protection. I'm in my mid-30s now, married to someone who shares a life story eerily similar to mine. We both grew up with very little in homes that weren't exactly nurturing. We left at 18, got scholarships, worked hard, and slowly built lives that made us feel safe. Now we live across the country in a modest little home, no kids by choice, and we keep our lifestyle simple so we can spend more on travel. Both of us work remotely, which makes that possible. To the outside world, it looks like we're living the dream, always on the move. About a year and a half ago, I started sharing our travels online. It wasn't about showing off, it was more of a creative outlet that turned into a small side hustle. I got a modest following and a few free perks here and there, and that alone made me feel excited and proud. But with the online visibility came something I didn't expect: financial expectations from my family. At first, it was manageable, small favors here and there, things I was genuinely happy to help with. But over time, the requests grew and multiplied. One day, it was help with bills, then it was my brother's fiance asking me to pay for their entire wedding, not contribute, but fully cover it. That was the moment my husband stepped in. He has a more pragmatic, take care of yourself mindset, and he suggested we create a policy. Anything over a certain amount would need both our approval. He also told me something that stuck. The only person I really owe anything to is my mother. It was hard for me to say no at first, but having his support gave me the confidence to set boundaries. Eventually, unless someone was hungry or homeless, the answer became a simple, guilt-free no. That didn't sit well with my family. The shift was obvious to them. Comments started trickling in, some subtle, some not. Then came the breaking point. During a call, my mom let something slip. I realized she'd been lying to me about her financial needs and had been passing money on to other relatives. She was pretending the requests were hers, so I'd keep giving. That betrayal hit harder than I expected. I told her I couldn't help anymore. I thought she'd respect that, but instead she started reaching out to other people in the family. Not long after, a cousin called me, someone with his own family to support, asking why he was being asked to chip in when someone like me could easily afford it. And he told me I needed to start doing my part. I didn't bother defending myself. I just kept the call short and civil, but it didn't end there. A younger family member who also creates content online posted a vague video about people who forget their roots and abandon their family. I wasn't tagged, but when I checked the comments, there it was, my aunt chiming in with, not naming names, but it rhymes with Tara. My name doesn't rhyme with Tara, but it's close enough that everyone got the message. The comment was full of likes, replies, laughing emojis from people I grew up with, people I'd helped. That was the final straw. I unfollowed, blocked, and erased every family connection on social media. I haven't spoken to any of them since. I still think about them. I miss some of them deeply, but I can't go back to being treated like an ATM with a passport. I don't know if this distance will last forever, but I know I'm not ready to reopen that door, not yet. Story number 38, I'm so tired of coming home to chaos, 17 female here. I'm starting to feel completely overwhelmed. Between college and work, my days are full from morning to night. I barely even have time to see friends anymore. You'd think home would be the one place I could catch a break, but it's the opposite. It's becoming unbearable. My home life feels like it's falling apart. I live with my mom, just the two of us, since my siblings moved out. She doesn't work, and I know that's not a crime or anything, but when you're a full-time housewife with no little kids to look after, shouldn't the house at least be somewhat clean? But nope, it's constantly filthy. I mean, filthy. Layers of dust, dog hair so thick on the carpet you can't even see the actual color. Piles of clean clothes dumped on the couch for weeks, also covered in dog hair. Kitchen counters coated in crumbs from who knows what, and dishes sitting around way too long is disgusting. What blows my mind is that my mom somehow has 3 phones and an iPad. I'll walk in and see her literally playing some mindless game on all her devices at once while a show plays on the tablet. Meanwhile, I'm exhausted and trying to keep my own life together, and she acts like I'm the one doing nothing. The other day, we were eating, and she suddenly just spit into the air right in the middle of lunch. I asked what the hell she was doing, and she shrugged it off, saying there was a bone in her meatball. That moment kind of summed everything up for me: messy, careless, no regard for her surroundings or for the fact that we're sharing a space. And my dad? Let's just say he's emotionally volatile and drinks way too much. I don't even know how to describe that side of things other than it's not a safe or stable environment. Just to clarify, I'm not nasty to my mom. I don't mock her, I don't guilt her, and I've never yelled at her over this. I cook for myself. I clean up after myself. I do my own laundry. I'm not asking her to serve me. I just wish she'd put some basic effort into keeping the house from feeling like a biohazard zone. I'm talking bare minimum stuff here. Put away the clean laundry, wipe the counters, run the vacuum once in a while. I've read comments from people suggesting she might be depressed, and honestly, I think that's true. That's why I don't push her. That's why I stay quiet when she spends all day glued to her screens. But even if I understand it, I still feel stuck. I still feel suffocated, and I think it's okay to admit that I'm frustrated. It's not like I don't want to help. I just can't do it all. If I had the money to move out, I would, believe me. But right now, I'm trapped, and I just needed to let it out.